change the slides, actually.
Hello.
Yeah, we can try that. Let's do some fun. All right, so good morning, everybody. I just wanted to start off by saying that I feel very honored and humbled to be at a hackathon and event where we're talking about decentralization. This is something that I would say I don't know a ton about, even though I have very overlapping interests in the sharing economy. And I actually just recently read this book, and I highly recommend it, The Starfish and the Spider. If you guys haven't read it, it's wonderful. But I'm actually going to stick to what I know, which is the sharing economy and ownership, and how I see things kind of changing, and how I see the movement actually belonging to the people. So yeah, let's just get into it. So I recently wrote and co-authored a book called Shareable Life, which is right here. You guys can take a look at it later if you like. It's a practical guide to the sharing economy, so it chronicles people's stories, users, and actually tells what the services are and how to use them. And so we crowdfunded the book originally a few years ago and self-published. So actually Neil's here from Shareable. Book is up there. So this is some of the work I do in the sharing economy. I'm a consultant, so I work with companies and marketplaces that need help with marketing and strategy and that kind of thing. So I've been doing that for a few years as well. And then I write for a few different organizations. So yeah, what I wanted to talk about was redefining value, ownership, and exchange. So I think a really big question, something I've been asking a lot, is what is value? How do we exchange it? How do we distribute it? How do we define it even? Is it currency? Is it GDP? Is it work? Is it even our time? Is it love? Is it happiness? So some of you may have seen this before. It's the Bhutan gross national happiness. Instead of looking at GDP, they actually look at how happy their population is, what the communities are doing, and things of that nature. And they look at like a wide spectrum of things. So how can value be exchanged? I think this is an interesting question as well. In the sharing economy, people often ask me, is this really sharing? No? Can you louder? Okay. People often ask me, is this really sharing? And like what's actually happening? And my answer to that is, well, it's a value exchange. We can exchange value socially, we can exchange value with currency, we can exchange value with points, we can exchange value by barter, many, many ways, right? So, which gets to another interesting question, which is what is ownership and where did it come from? It actually, some of you also probably know, it came from lands, it came from agriculture and people putting fences around property because there was food and there was value in establishing residency or living in the same places that are continuing living around. So I kind of want to bring it down to a really different level in terms of like decentralization, which is like the Earth as a planet. Like the idea that we own any part of it or the resources on it is sort of a made-up concept, a very human concept. This is a quote about that. Yeah. No, you can go. You can go. So then there's Gaia theory. This is something I encourage you to look at, which is looking at the Earth as a living organism. Which I think, like, if you also take a step back and look at decentralization, like the planet is decentralized in, the ecosystem of the universe, and our bodies are decentralized, and everything kind of works independently of each other. So I think, fundamentally, like feeling that I think is important. And this is another sort of parallel to that with Ubuntu. I am because we are is a South African culture that looks at like empathy in terms of their population and how they philosophically do life. So now I want to talk about some reasons I think the sharing economy is really exciting and a really great thing. Reason number one, the sharing economy reveals an abundance of value. So all of the unused time and space and resources and cars that sit on the road at like 92% of the time knowledge that can be shared, that extra space or that extra couch or that extra bedroom or your backyard that somebody could possibly camp in. I mean, there's so many ways that you can think about this. And there's some companies there. The next one is, I think that the sharing economy creates new opportunities for generosity. And actually, Time Magazine reported a few years ago that generosity scientifically is contagious. So if I give something to you, you're going to want to do something for somebody else. The third reason is, I think the sharing economy refocuses us on what's actually important, which is access and experiences. We get more from being around people and having beautiful experiences with people, with others, than we do from our possessions. That's just also proven. And the fourth reason is, I think the sharing economy creates a mentality of participation. Anybody can be an entrepreneur, and more importantly, I think anybody can think about being anything without there being barriers to entry. So instead of needing certification or education for doing certain things, you can think about it in terms of reputation and trust, which I think Warren would integrate. And this is where it parallels with decentralization. I think the sharing economy promotes social collaboration. So open source, the Creative Commons, anything of the crowdfunding, crowdsourcing, crowd gifting, and commenting. So I think that we can use the sharing economy to create lasting change in many ways. So we can do this with software, I think we can do it with currency, and I think we can do this with legal models and new infrastructures. Things like, open source software, peer-to-peer networks, alternative currencies, international currencies, and then legal models, of course, like cooperatives. This is just a great quote. We know a whole world of pressing social problems can be improved by peer networks, digital or analog, local or global, animated by those core values of participation, equality, and diversity. And I think a lot of the people in this room are actually thinking about things like freedom and privacy and trust and really, really important fundamental things. And I encourage you to keep going because I think that's really awesome. Thank you.
So great. Next, I would like to Katerina. We have kind of a pitch session, and